Well, finding correlations in the market, things in one market that move with another, can help you make good trading decisions. Our guest today is Anthony Drager. He's a full-time trader who's going to talk to us about using correlations to your advantage. Anthony, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me, Tim.
Well, as an E-mini trader, as a futures trader, what kind of correlations do you look for to help you make good decisions?
As an E-mini trader, I look at other indices, such as the NASDAQ, the Dow, a little less, the Russell. But you can't just watch one particular index and expect to know the entire picture and all the pieces to the puzzle. Sometimes before, I'm from Chicago, so before 10:30 Chicago time, Europe is still open, and those markets could influence our U.S. markets and vice versa. So that entire picture I keep an eye on to kind of understand and rationalize where these markets might go next.
All right, so are there indices that will maybe give you a little bit of a lead in terms of if it changes, you know that the E-minis are going to change as well soon? In
years past, you could capture that edge when markets were a little less efficient, and sometimes when things were down on the floor, they could arb a European bond to a U.S. bond because of the delay. Now that computers have kind of caught everything up, that edge doesn't arrive. So now you have to look, and what I do is look at extremes, highs and lows. If the S&Ps are making higher highs and the DAX or the Euro stocks in Europe aren't, that's a clue that we might be a little overbought or expensive, and the next right side might be down.
And talk about a typical correlation on gold, for instance, or crude oil. What are you looking for there?
Well, with gold, it would be obvious silver is like a cousin or sister to gold. And so with the same, if you were to look at longer term charts, and by longer term I mean 15-minute hourly charts of silver and gold, they look pretty close to being the same. You don't want them to look exactly the same because there's no information. If you and I are playing cards and you don't change your disposition, if you got 4 aces or 6 high, I can't beat you. But if you do something different, now that's an invaluable tell. Same thing. If silver does something different than it normally does to gold, now there's a clue as to what might happen next, because markets are always getting overextended, overbought, oversold, areas being too cheap, too expensive. And so there you're able to say, well, with a high probability, I could assume what might happen next. If I'm wrong, I know where my exits are. But if I'm right, obviously, you can manage your risk that way as well.
So if it's silver and gold together, what is it that you look at with crude oil?
Crude oil, heating oil, RBOB gas, those are products of crude oil. I'm not an oil guy as far as knowing all the fundamentals, but I do know that those 3 markets are going to chart very similarly. Those are the RBOB is unleaded gas, heating oil. They're 2 products of crude oil that will chart and be influenced by crude, and then sometimes vice versa. So if you see, again, in the example off the highs, you got a real strong crude market, you usually have a strong heating oil and unleaded gas market. Well, what if now you get a strong heating oil and crude market, but not gas, and something changed? It might start questioning the rally and the strength in crude oil altogether in that energy complex.
Anthony, thanks for your time.
My pleasure.